Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about desperation leads to rejection. So why does desperation lead to rejection? So one of the main things that is really important to think about here is that when you are desperate for something, and it doesn't even have to be relationships, if you're just desperate, you're insecure, you feel like, oh my god, if I don't have this, then my life is going to be like this. If I don't have this, the same goes for people. If you feel like, oh yeah, if I don't have her, if I don't have him, then my whole world is going to fall apart. So it's not a good idea to have that kind of desperation for anything and be that needy and be that insecure about anything, because usually when you are that way, it rarely ever works out. In fact, you actually push that thing further away from you. Okay, so in terms of dating, and maybe women or men that you're trying to attract into your life, if you meet someone and you suddenly become very desperate for them, you really want to be in a relationship with them, you really, really want to know where you stand with them, you really want to know if they like you the same way, often we can make mistakes, right? Which is why it leads to rejection. Because if you just played it cool a little bit more, right, and you wasn't so needy, wasn't so desperate, then things may actually work out a lot better for you. But if you're desperate, then what are you gonna be doing? Like, if you think of someone who is desperate, what do? Especially when they're desperate for someone that they like, right? They are constantly blowing up their phone with messages and phone calls and missed calls. Right? It's one thing that they do when you're desperate. And I know that because I've done those things before in the past. I've done that before, where I was desperate for someone and would be constantly messaging them all the time. And why is that? Why does that kind of behavior lead to rejection? Well, if you've only just met someone or you don't know them very well yet, and you're already acting like you can't live without them, right? It makes the other person feel uneasy. And the reason why it makes them feel uneasy is because they know in their heart that you've only spent X amount of time with them. It's not a lot of time. And they know that there's no way you should be feeling that strongly towards them, considering the limited amount of time you've been with them. It makes them feel weird. It freaks them out. They don't know why. Okay? So, for example, for me, when I was a teenager, I did this a lot. When I got a huge crush on a girl that I really liked, I would do something really dramatic, like write them a long love letter, right? Even though we hadn't been together romantically yet or anything like that. We had never been out on a date with each other, but yet I was already writing them a long love letter, explaining to them how I feel about them and how I thought that we should be together, right? And that was without even just doing something simple like asking them out. Because one of the things that you got to do and think about is, when you like a woman or a guy, whatever it is, whoever is watching this, when you like someone a lot, okay, and let's say it's someone you go to school with or it's someone that you work with, you develop this crush, the best thing that you can do is to simply just ask them out on a date. Right? So you go up to them, even if it's someone you've known for a while, you say, look, I think you're actually really cute and I'd love to get to know you a lot better. When are you available to go out on a date? When are you available to hang out with me? And then you wait for their response. You wait for them to say, oh, yeah, I'm free this day or that day. Or they may, just reject you, which is fine, obviously, because you may have a crush on someone, but they may not have a crush on you. They may not feel the same way. So you've got to allow, basically, for those rejections to happen, because they are going to happen, especially if you're putting your neck out there. But you want to do that. You want to do that kind of method of just asking them out first, instead of writing them a love letter or writing them a long-ass message on Facebook or something like that and texting them how you feel about them. And you don't need to explicitly say either that you like them or that you love them, or that that you really, really want to be with them, because the simple act of you asking them out, to just you two to spend alone time together, will be enough of a clue to them for them to realize that, hey, this person likes me. They will know that. You don't need to do any kind of big grand gesture like a love letter, long message, long voicemail. You don't need to write them a poem. You don't need to write them a song. You don't need to do anything apart from ask them out on a date and to invite them out, right? Ask them when they're available to hang out with you, okay? That's all you need to do to begin with, okay? So you don't want to be, bombarding them with messages. You don't want to be doing any of these big grand gesture things, because that shows that you're desperate. It shows that you already have put them so far ahead of all your other priorities, and you feel so deeply for them, even though maybe you've only spent a limited amount of time together. Okay. And even if you have spent a lot of time with this person, so let's say it's someone you've been friends with for a number of weeks or maybe even months or years, right? Even then, you still want to play it cool. You still don't want to write them a love letter, especially if you're unsure of how they feel about you. Okay, which leads me into my next point, which is you've got to really think about how you think this person is going to respond to you asking them out on a date. Because if you know, yeah, this person's going to reject me because let's say that they've got a boyfriend, let's say they're already in a relationship, or perhaps you know they've only just came out of a relationship, or perhaps they're attracted to the opposite sex. You got to think about, is this person actually going to reciprocate? And you have to really know that in your heart. Because if you think you've got a chance, then sure, you should shoot your shot and ask them out on a date. But if not, right? And if you know deep down that this person's probably going to reject you, sometimes it's best then to just deal with that yourself and be like, you know what, there's no point me even trying, so I should just move on with my life instead of dwelling on this romance. Because sometimes when you like someone from afar for a long time, it wastes your time, especially if you know this person isn't ever going to reciprocate. Okay, again, this is another thing that I did when I was a teenager. I would spend so much time dwelling on one person, right? One person who was never ever going to go out with me in a million years. And I would spend, once I even spent over a year having a crush on someone who had already rejected me, but yet I still thought and was still hoping that one day things would change. Okay? It just wastes your time when you could have been actually searching for people that did really want you and did want to be with you. You see, it just wastes your time, right? So if you're desperate and you're messaging them a lot, you're acting like you can't live without them, it's going to do, it's going to freak the other person out, and it's going to lead to them rejecting you, right? So you've got to play it more cool. You've got to not be so, in a way, you've got to not be so honest with how you feel about them, right? If you want it to work out. Especially if you know that this person isn't quite at the level that you're at. Because if you feel really intensely about them, let's say you think they're amazingly attractive, you would really love to be in a relationship with them, and you're only just really starting to get to know this person, you should know, you can probably sense if this person is on the same page as you. Because if they are, then that's great. If they love you back and are into you back, that's great. Then you can both be at full force heading to a lovely romance together. But if you know that this person is going to take a little bit more time to warm up to you, then, and that's fine, that's okay, because we all fall in love at different rates. Most of the time, men actually fall in love really, really fast, and women take a bit more time to warm up to someone that they like. But even still, right, you should be able to tell, hey, am I more invested in this person than they are in me? And if they answer yes to that, then you need to back off and not do so much and not let on to them just yet, right, how you actually really feel about them. Just focus on hanging out with them and having a good time, right, and just going on dates with them. Don't focus so much on relationships, on labeling things, of using the word love, of being overly romantic, right? Just take things a lot slower, right? Because if you are rushing things, because sometimes I get people saying, yeah, but that's how I feel about them. If I'm in love with them, then I'm going to tell them, even if they don't feel the same way about me yet, or because I want to speed up the process. It's a very selfish thing to do that, right? It's extremely selfish, because that person may actually like you, might actually be really attracted to you, right? But they're just not at the same level that you're at yet. So if you're trying to force things and make them feel something for you faster, right? That's all down to you. That's all down to your own selfishness. Give them time for their feelings to blossom, right? And it's a really beautiful thing, especially if you are someone who falls in love really fast. I'm someone who falls in love quite quickly. And I knew when I met my wife, she was going to take probably like a few dates before she warmed up to me and started feeling comfortable around me. But it's really beautiful to watch someone fall in love with you, right? Instead of trying to, and them falling in love with you on their own time, rather than you trying to force things by being desperate and needy and insecure. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.